Hi friends, welcome back to another episode of Generation Tech. My name is Alan. Today's episode is going to have a spoiler from the first episode of the second season of The Mandalorian. So we'll wait for all of you guys who don't want to be spoiled to leave this digital room we're sharing. Steve? So let's talk about the reveal at the end of the last Mandalorian episode. We see that Boba Fett is still alive. That has pretty much been speculated about and pretty much confirmed prior to The Mandalorian in Legends and canon. But we see him being portrayed by Tamora Morrison for the first time on screen. Now, we know that Din Djarin is on the planet Tatooine to find other Mandalorians because he believes his kin can help him find the elusive Jedi. Din Djarin had been tasked by the Armorer, leader of the Mandalorians, to find Baby Yoda's kin. The Mandalorians' entire tribe had basically sacrificed their lives defending this little one's life in the first season. But is this going to be a fruitless endeavor? We know that Din Djarin does have Boba Fett's armor, but maybe the legendary bounty hunter left it behind inside of the Sarlacc. Maybe the incident that put him in there almost 4 years earlier fundamentally changed how he viewed himself and the world around him. Maybe Boba Fett is just tired of fighting and wants to retire on this terrible desert planet. No matter what the reason is, he's definitely chosen to stay on this planet because it's not like there aren't ships on Tatooine that could take him far away. So if Boba Fett is willing to help Din Djarin on his mission to find the Jedi, today we have to kind of look at which Jedi have run into Boba Fett throughout his career. The ones that are still alive by the time of The Mandalorian, that is. Now, Boba Fett had a lot of issues growing up. He didn't really have a motherly figure to kind of guide him. And he's also a clone, an exact copy of Jango Fett, his father figure. A father figure who, let's be honest, wasn't afforded the luxury of having a wide range of emotions. Jango Fett had his entire family massacred by a group of regressive Mandalorians known as the Death Watch, and he got his first kill shortly after, and then grew up on the battlefield fighting for the true Mandalorians. At one point, Jango Fett's mentor and father figure, who rescued him from the Death Watch, is ambushed and murdered by Death Watch, forcing him to take command of the true Mandalorians at a very young age. Then he himself is set up by the Death Watch, which leads to the death of the rest of his family at the hands of the Jedi led by Count Dooku. And after being defeated, Jango becomes a slave for many years, which basically destroyed whatever humanity was left inside of him. And then for the last decade or so of his life, Jango basically hired out his sperm to create a massive private army for more money than any human being would need for multiple lifetimes. So yeah, I'm sure Jango Fett was a great fatherly figure for Boba Fett. I mean, he didn't even teach his son the importance of making sure that your jetpack is working and protected during a battle, because if it isn't, it could cause you a lot of problems. Anyway, Boba Fett watches Mace Windu cut off his father/identical twin's head, and that fills him with enough hatred and anger towards the Jedi that will probably last a lifetime. A few years later, when Boba Fett is 11, well, I don't really know, but he's basically too young to be doing this, he blows up an entire Venator-class Star Destroyer full of clones of himself while trying to kill Mace Windu. He doesn't get Mace in the explosion, but the Jedi is pretty injured and almost died. And even though they didn't get Mace Windu, Boba Fett and his team of bounty hunters managed to capture a few clone troopers as hostage. The idea is to lure Mace Windu into a trap with these hostages. But instead of sending Mace Windu, the Jedi choose Plo Koon and Padawan Ahsoka Tano for the mission. The two Jedi encounter Boba Fett and Aurra Sing at a small cantina on the world of Florum. A standoff ensues, and surprisingly, Boba Fett saves Plo Koon from getting killed by Aurra Sing. His psychopathic partner had already killed several innocents, including a hostage for no reason, and their relationship was strained at this point. No matter how dead set Boba Fett was about revenge towards Mace Windu, he still had a moral code. The Jedi would prevail in this exchange, and Aurra Sing would betray Boba Fett and leave him behind, further devastating the young boy who clearly had some abandonment issues. What's important about the scene is that Boba Fett doesn't seem to be angry at all of the Jedi, just Mace Windu. We're not sure if Ahsoka Tano gets to speak to Boba Fett one-on-one during his transport to Coruscant, where he's going to be imprisoned, but the two are at the same age, so maybe it happens. We know that Ahsoka Tano will most likely be appearing this season and be portrayed by Rosario Dawson. Ahsoka Tano has a unique connection to the Mandalorians because she aided the Night Owls in retaking their homeworld from Darth Maul, or just Maul, and his super commandos at the end of the Clone Wars. Now, Boba Fett would spend his formative years in prison. It would toughen him up both physically and mentally. When he gets out of prison, he starts his own bounty hunter syndicate known as Crate's Claw on Tatooine. Boba would hire famous bounty hunters like Bossk and Dengar, and he even managed to get former Sith assassin Asajj Ventress on his side. She was in between jobs at the time. But during one mission, Ventress and Boba have a disagreement, and the Force user shoves the teenager into a chest, embarrassing him in front of his client and his entire team. Now, shortly after, the Jedi Order tasks unorthodox Jedi Quinlan Voss on a mission to assassinate Count Dooku. This is a pretty controversial decision for the Jedi to take. One might say the Order was losing its way, and adopting an ends justifies the means strategy more and more often. Yoda recommends that Quinlan Voss team up with Asajj Ventress on this mission. Asajj Ventress knows Dooku well, and she was betrayed by him. In order to get information about the whereabouts of Asajj Ventress, Quinlan Voss travels to level 1313 on Coruscant and meets up with Boba Fett, her former employer. Boba Fett clearly has disdain for Ventress, but at the same time he respects her combat abilities, or perhaps even fears her. And so he doesn't see Quinlan Voss as an ally necessarily, but as a tool who could probably destroy one of his greatest enemies. Things take a strange turn after Quinlan Voss joins up with Asajj Ventress. He gets captured by Count Dooku after a failed assassination attempt. Things get even stranger after Asajj Ventress hires Boba Fett and his bounty hunters basically to help release Quinlan Voss from Count Dooku's lair. Initially, Boba Fett is reluctant, but Asajj throws $250,000 credits his way. But even with the bounty hunters on his side, Asajj Ventress is unable to successfully rescue Quinlan Voss. Boba Fett and his bounty hunters manage to escape, even though they are pretty easily defeated by Count Dooku. Quinlan Voss would also survive this story arc, and he would also survive Order 66. And so he fits our criteria of being a Jedi who has encountered Boba Fett and still alive during the Mandalorian period. Now, Boba Fett would continue to build up his reputation as a mercenary and a feared bounty hunter. He would eventually reach the top-tier ranks just like his father did. After the Battle of Yavin, Darth Vader would approach Jabba the Hutt and request the services of his top bounty hunter. He wanted to capture an unnamed moisture farmer who was responsible for destroying the Death Star. We know him as Luke Skywalker. Jabba the Hutt introduces Boba Fett and the Wookiee mercenary known as the Black Chrysanthemum to Vader and signs them up for the job. Boba Fett plows through the inhabitants of Mos Eisley trying to find a lead, killing everyone who gets in his way. Clearly, he's become a lot more comfortable with just killing innocent people. Eventually, he gets a lead to old Ben Kenobi's home in the Jundland Wastes and sits there waiting for his prey. When Luke finally comes snooping around, Boba blinds Luke with a flash grenade and tries to subdue the Jedi. Vader wants the moisture farmer brought in alive. Boba had already fought several Jedi by this time in his career, and Luke was still pretty green and lacked real training. He's also blind from the flashbang, so this fight was pretty even. Boba Fett manages to cut Skywalker a few times with his vibro blade and has him on the defensive. But then suddenly, a box hits Boba Fett in the head out of nowhere and just knocks him out. The box has a label on it that says, "For Luke." One can only assume that Obi-Wan Kenobi somehow launched the box at the Mandalorian's head from way beyond in the afterlife. Now, Boba Fett probably doesn't have a very high opinion of Luke Skywalker's skill after fighting him. He eventually reports to Darth Vader that Luke got lucky and escaped. The only information he has to give Vader is the boy's last name, which is Skywalker. This is how Vader knows that his son is still alive. Now, Boba Fett would encounter Luke one more time over the Great Pit of Carkoon. Luke would slice his blaster in half this time around, and the last thing Boba Fett probably saw before he was sent flying into the Pit of Carkoon was Luke Skywalker in the sight of his wrist gauntlet laser. Oh yeah, and Princess Leia was there too as well, and she technically is a Jedi, or at least she will get training as a Jedi after the war is over. So there you have it, guys. Although Boba Fett has fought many Jedi in his career, there just aren't that many left in the galaxy, unfortunately. I am really interested to see what exactly Boba Fett is still doing on Tatooine. We know that he enjoys being on the planet, but he clearly has given up his armor. Will he be excited to see Din Djarin with his armor, or has he rejected the way of the Mandalorians? Well, let me know in the comment section down below what you think. Also, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button down below so you don't miss out on the rest of our Mandalorian coverage. As usual, thanks for joining us today. If you're watching this, you are Generation Tech.